happy hour. Dig.
Yo, it's happy hour, and Justin is still wrapping up over at DTNS. So joining us, we have Merrill Barr. How are you, sir?
I have returned after it's been a month. It's been a whole month.
Oh man, it's been a month. That's for dang sure. I guess last time we had you on was before I got the COVID, huh?
No, yeah. So the way it plays out is 1 month ago. I don't know if exactly. It was 1 month ago this week. 1 month ago, I was on. You were making fun of me for my crappy chair. The plan was that the following week we would do a charity stream where people would call in, and then for like $5 a pop, and I would help fix their Hollywood movies. Which, by the way, I so didn't want to do. I am bad at standing up for myself when it comes to people I like.
Yep.
Like if you say, Meryl, you're gonna do this thing, I'd be like, okay. And then for reasons that I'm not sure I'm allowed to talk about yet, I got a new chair.
For the love of God. I don't know what you can't do. You always have something you can't talk about, but whatever it is, don't talk about it.
It will be a good story in like a few months to a year as to how I suddenly have a new chair. We'll leave it at that.
There you
It's
go.
gonna be an awesome story at that time. And then you got COVID, and what happened was like so we haven't talked about this. You called me the day you got COVID.
Oh yeah, you were one of the first people that I got to say.
Yeah,
I spent a whole
because-
afternoon just calling everybody, and the first words I blurted out were, "I've got COVID," and everyone.
Well, for me it was
like,
motherfucking. No, you said to me, "Motherfucking positive." Your
Yes.
exact words.
Yes, and you knew
this
exactly
was
what
a-
I was talking about.
Yeah, and this was a Wednesday.
Yep.
And I was like, I guess we're not doing happy hour this week. And then, and then all hell broke loose. Then you had COVID the following week. And then the week after that, I was supposed to be back on since last week. I was supposed to be back on, but then you ended up going on to DTNS with Justin, which killed that happy hour for that. Or no, you went on.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because you usually come on to
typically-
cover his gap.
For those that don't know, for anyone that may be coming in, a few months after the initiation of happy hour, I come on Thursdays to help fill the gap. Well, Justin's off doing DTNS.
Yes, and you know what we do is we don't just explain why you're here. We talk about things. What's going on in your world?
All right.
What are you fired up about?
Okay. I've known for a while now that sometimes we as a society collectively rewrite pop culture, right?
Yes.
We
love our myths. We only have a few archetypes, and we demand that human beings be wedged into the bizarre shapes that we've crafted in our minds.
So we've rewritten the definition of born in the USA. We've rewritten
because Born in the USA, the song was actually the opposite of it was mock patriotism. It was shitting on. It was all based on it was making fun of people who would take pride in being born in the USA.
Recently, one of the latest ones was a rewrite of the meaning of the song Macho Man.
Oh, that's interesting. Is it not? I thought it was unironic.
The president's not using it. The president's using it on it. The president is not using it. I guarantee you. He thinks it means something. It's not. It's not meant for him. I think.
Wait, is the president using the song Macho Man?
He uses Macho Man as the background song for all his rallies.
How did I not know this? This is amazing.
Yeah. So that's
okay. What is your interpretation of what he thinks he's projecting by saying it?
I think he thinks this. There's a point where that song stopped being. There's a point where that song stopped being the ironic thing that it is,
and became. Was it originally put out by the Village People as like we're laughing at people who think they're macho?
I think so. I'm almost positive of that. I'd be surprised if it wasn't that case. I think we all kind of agree that that's the case. And then it moved into being like one of the go-to tracks at everyone's bar and bat mitzvahs. And then now the president uses it at all his rallies. My personal favorite is the rewrite of Speed. Whereas Brian, what's the plot of Speed?
The plot of Speed is that a mad bomber has put a bomb on a bus, and the bus has to go 55 miles an hour at all times, or else the bus explodes.
The bus is not introduced until minute 20, and Keanu isn't on the bus until minute 30. There's a whole other movie that happens in an elevator with Jeff Daniels and Keanu trying to stop a bomb in an elevator. And then the bus stuff wraps up with like 20 minutes still to go in the movie, and then they move to the train.
There's a train?
There's a
Are you kidding me?
no.
How do I not remember the train?
They
I remember like the bus, number one, taking a ridiculous hard right turn exit that there's no way the bus took at 55 miles an hour. And I seem to remember something like smashing right into a Y partition at some point, but I don't have a clear memory of it.
So Keanu. So okay, this is the reason all right. We're gonna get to the movie that spawned this conversation, but let me stay on Speed for a second. The reason I know this is I wrote a movie once, based on not based. It was a loose interpretation of the news story about the crazy guy that hijacked a plane in Alaska and flew it around, and then the Air Force didn't shoot him down. And it was whatever. Well, NORAD didn't shoot him down. And it was
when did that happen? In a post 9/11?
September 2018.
No kidding. I would figure in a post 9/11 world, it's just like boop.
It was a viral story for a moment because a bunch of people started calling him Sky King. It was in Seattle, right? Sorry, Ben Franklin's right. It was Seattle, not Alaska. It was Alaska Air. He had hijacked an Alaska Air, like this small, tiny prop airliner. One of those guys. He was a ground crew guy. He just took it. Like
he snapped. He just
snapped it. Yeah. It was no one else on the plane but him, and he starts flying it around, and then Air Force F-15 start chasing him, and then ultimately he crashes, but they don't shoot him down. And the reason it's an interesting story is all of his communication was done over open airways,
so anybody could hear it. And I'm sure there was a shoutcast station like on Winamp or something in minutes.
And then there's a bunch of recordings of what he's talking about, and it's like you're just listening to this guy, and it's just like, God, dude, I just want to sit down and have a beer with you at a bar. Like you're like, I swear it's just the dude needs therapy and he just doesn't know it. And just life kind of bit him in the ass. And I wrote a movie using that incident as inspiration. And then I sent it to a producer I was hoping to attach. And the producer goes, see, your problem here is you're introducing your characters way too late. You need to bring these. Think of Speed, man. Like you meet Keanu, you meet Sandy, they're on the bus, and you go. And I was like, all right, I gotta go rewatch Speed. Go to rewatch Speed. We do not meet Sandra Bullock's character for the first 20 minutes. Keanu's not on the bus until minute 30. Like this, it's a collective rewrite of that entire movie.
Well, let me provide a counterpoint. Regardless of what the movie was, almost everybody's familiarity from it, however many people saw the movie, is dwarfed by the number of people who saw the ads for the movie. And the ads for the movie were nothing but that sentence that I said.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of, if you're thinking of the iceberg, the people who actually sat through the movie and remember it are the tip of the iceberg compared to the people who saw the 2-minute version of the movie, i.e. the trailer.
Right. So here's what I discovered last night, what might be the most egregious societal rewrite of a movie I've ever seen.
Oh, those are bold words, my friend.
What is the plot of Mad Max?
I remember this because I think culturally, if I can guess where this is headed, I'm going to do my best to remember it. But I'm going to guess that most people would say, oh, it's the desert and they're chasing gasoline and they have crazy cars. None of that happened in Mad Max. That happened in The Road Warrior, primarily is where that imagery comes from. And then Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, of course, doubled down on it, but there was more societal elements to it with a libertarian hellscape. But Mad Max, I watched these out of order. So by the time I saw Mad Max, I was like, what the fuck is this movie? This is almost the current 2020s. Like it's civil. He's a cop. He is a cop in a real society with a wife and kids.
Ekte Thomas hits on exactly what the point I'm making here. Everyone says that Mad Max is a movie about a guy whose family is brutally murdered and he goes out for revenge.
But they only die at the very end, right?
Mad Max is a 1 hour and 33-minute movie. His family is not killed until 1 hour and 13 minutes into the movie, and the revenge thing is only the last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like the rest of it's like I watched it for the first time last night, and I just found this so fascinating that we have collectively rewritten this as one of the greatest revenge movies ever made. And it's like, no, there's no revenge in that movie until the very, very, very end.
I went through this recently with Justin. He didn't care for me saying so, but Bogus Journey. Every moment you remember from Bill and Ted's
I was
Bogus
here.
Journey,
It-
yeah,
this
oh,
was-
yeah, okay. So, but all of that, none of that occurs in the first 50 minutes. Like it's ridiculous.
uh it was yeah, it was just so interesting to me that
So
that
hold on.
we
Let me see how much I can remember of Mad Max because it has been legitimately 25 years since I've seen it. Maybe 23 or so.
yeah, so
But
you
but
list off what you remember, and I'll
there was
tell
a
you where in the movie it takes place.
yeah. It was kind of like suburban Australia or unnamed place. And he had a wife and a kid. I want to say a daughter who's around 7 or 8. I may be making this up. A
Kid's
gang.
like he's a genderless kid for all intents and purposes, like 3. Like,
Okay.
might as well be, yeah.
Then here, let me see how much I can pull out before you correct me. A gang comes into town and he like warns them off. One of them was called the Toe Cutter. I remember that because later Toe Cutter Toe Cutter is the same actor that later played Immortan Joe in Fury Road.
I can't.
One of the gang, one of the bad guys in Mad Max is the same actor 40 years later playing Immortan Joe in Fury Road, which I thought was really cool. Oh man.
Do you want me to write it down?
No, hold on. I think basically just it's a lot of him trying to chase off this gang and maybe killing one or two there, and then them keep coming back, and then finally they kill his family, and then he just has nothing to lose and says screw it.
For all intents and purposes, yeah. It's like he kills a guy called the Knight Rider in the very beginning.
That's
and then,
right.
Yeah, and then the gang. Then we meet the gang who kind of comes into town, but the gang's just kind of always there. It's not they really come into town; they're just kind of always around. They're the hooligans, but they're really, really bad.
Well, and they did imply that this is a near future where society is really starting to
brink.
degrade at the edges, right? It's a frayed society. Which again, 2020, it's almost an accurate representation
Well,
of a
that's
time when we're defunding the police.
Yeah, there's
riots.
There's beaches. Currency is still a thing. Commerce is still a thing. The only thing that's kind of broken down is the law enforcement system. Like that's kind of the only thing that's really kind of broken down.
Like,
Everything else
nobody
is kind
believes
of,
the cops are actually going to come save the day.
right, and the whole thing's about like how the world doesn't believe in heroes anymore, Max, and we got to give them back their heroes.
Which
you know,
is part of what makes that opening scene of the Road Warrior so stark, because we see Max get hollowed out and he gets his revenge, but then we see him an empty husk of a feeling person in the opening scene of the Road Warrior, where I forget which guy he gets, but he handcuffs him to a whatever and says, "Here's a hacksaw. It'll take, and meanwhile there's flame near the gasoline. Takes this long to saw through the chain. It'll take this long to saw through your ankle." And then he's just walking off, and behind him you see the gasoline mushroom cloud of the guy making the wrong decision. You
yeah, the
remember
end
that?
of Mad Max. Yeah.
Wait, no, was that the end of Mad Max?
That's the end of Mad
I
Max.
thought that was the opening scene of Road Warrior.
That's the end of Mad. So
I guess if you think of it as just one continuous story.
What I understand it, the way I understand it is because I haven't seen Road Warrior. I know that's why I'm watching.
Well,
the
that's
movies.
wonderful. You're gonna have a great time.
But I guess apparently the opening of Road Warrior is a condensed montage of Mad Max,
Right.
And just the key points, which
actually,
is why I assume the rewrite takes place.
It's actually more the story of the world. It's they briefly say there's a man who had everything taken from him. That's about all they say about Max. Really, they're all like, then came war, and the politicians talked and talked and talked, and then fire rained from the skies, and now the gasoline is super important. It's me, the narrator man.
Yeah. So, that's the end of Mad Max. Is the song "Through the Leg"?
I am really excited to hear your take on the Road Warrior.
I'm gonna, you know what? That might be. I might watch it. I might try and watch it before the next happy hour and like be able to come in and talk.
I went
about
through
it.
Bonnie and I first couple of years we got married. Went through a '60s and '70s and I guess '80s post-apocalyptic phase where we were tracking down everything we could find, stuff like seeing how well the Omega Man held up and watching, like the day after. And I don't know. I think there was something about it being about to be the year 2000 that had us just into the whole there was sort of this cultural gestalt of the Y2K bug ending society. And so to tickle that, it was really interesting to just watch a bunch of previous interpretations of apocalyptic scenarios.
Yeah, I get that. I mean,
Wait, does that mean you've not seen Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome?
no, I mean, the Fury Road is the first Mad Max thing I ever saw.
Okay, well, first of all, it'll never be better. It's never better than the first night. Fury Road was picture perfect. My goodness. That's my Scott Johnson impression.
But I mean, I think that was by design. Fury Road. I mean, I watched Fury Road going like, yeah, I already know a little. I have a cultural understanding of who Mad Max is in my head, and the movie just kind of places that generic understanding of Mad Max.
Yeah. What's another movie that you know only by osmosis? Have you watched? But you're kind of a movie guy, so I would expect that you've seen a lot of old
that's
stuff.
The thing is, I kind of see you're one of the few people I know who live that mantra. You talked about Modern Rogue, where it's like when you find someone who has not discovered a thing that everyone else knows about, you don't treat them with derision. You treat them as like it's your birthday.
Yes,
surprise!
Yes, I have a gift for you. How wonderful! Yeah.
So it's like
it is tough, and I was thinking about this. This is peripherally related. Like, I was looking at. It's been once I got COVID, it was a little bit harder for me to engage with any of the YouTube comments on the Modern Rogue. But lately, I've been trying to, especially when a new episode comes out, I say hello because I think it's important to have that connection with folks. But I go through, and I'm just wondering to myself. So many of these comments, I'm like, who do you think is going to read this and what do you think will be accomplished by it? Because that's the other thing is when you delete a comment, it never informs them and they just think it's, or if you, and in fact, I probably should just click on hide user from channel more often because then they just bark into the wilderness and they never understand why nobody responds.
I think there was a time where comments did matter. And that and once you give something or someone a taste of something, they assume that's going to be the default position forever.
Yes. Or whatever they saw most recently.
So I think the internet lives in a place, the internet as a collective whole lives in a place where comments matter. And in truth, they do, but they've moved. Like YouTube comments don't really matter anymore because they're basically message board comments.
Only they're all hidden. Like everybody's comment, the moment you write it, it shows up nowhere. I guess maybe like I think Twitter. I think it sorts a little bit by newness, freshness of comment. So maybe it does show up for a little bit, but if nobody comments or reacts to it, then it just sort of fades away.
But broader than that. Like what I'm really saying is no one is looking at YouTube comments unless they are going to the comments for a specific purpose. Like, for example, I see a movie trailer. There's a needle drop in the movie trailer. I want to know what song that is. I'll go scan the comments and see if anyone has called out the song. But I'm not there for discussion, right? I'm not there for conversation.
Now, I don't mind when somebody has a particularly funny comment, or I do like it when the top comment is a thought that I also had. And it's like, oh my God, that guy thought the exact thought that I thought. But man, is everybody obsessed with my hair at all times? Just, it's too long, it's too short. Go back, change
You're
it,
the
keep
new Carrie
growing.
Russell.
It's killing me.
And now you know how Carrie Russell felt at the end of Felicity.
Oh, that's right. She had that cute hairstyle, and then she changed it, and everyone lost their mind, and then they canceled the show.
Everyone thought that was what killed the show. Like, everyone thought that's what killed the show, and not bringing in a wizard and like turning back time.
That's right,
the final season.
I forgot. I never watched the show, but I know the reputation. Like I heard the chatter as all that went down. That was a J.J. Abrams joint, right? Was it Greg Grunberg?
So that was JJ's first. Yeah, that was JJ's first show.
Yeah.
And the thing he's talked about so much is that he has such a hard time making a show basically about nothing, and not in that Seinfeld way, just like, it's a teen soap, like it's kind of about nothing. And so
It's not going to go anywhere. The purpose is that it exists so that you'll keep
Right.
watching it so it can exist.
and his pitch for Alias to ABC was it's Felicity as a spy. That's the pitch. And they were like, yeah, we'll buy that. And so they did. And then they were like, well, who are we gonna get to direct the pilot? And he goes, me. And he had never directed before.
Oh, that's amazing.
He had never directed he never directed anything in Hollywood before. JJ was known as a big script doctor. He did his biggest one was like I know is he rewrote Armageddon. He did pass on Armageddon.
Oof. Armageddon, notoriously, I think we've talked about this before, and maybe I owe it another look with producer's eyes now that I'm 20 years on the other side of it. Only movie in my entire life that I went to Blockbuster Video, rented, popped it in with the missus, got about halfway through, and just said, this is dog shit, and turned it off and returned it to the store. And then
Have you never finished it?
I eventually was at my parents' place when they were down in Venezuela. It was on satellite TV, and I sat through it, and I'm like, this is still dumb as crap. But I was less invested in it, so I didn't hate it as much, but I still thought it was bad.
I love it, but there's a but. It's a 2.5-hour long movie. They do not leave Earth for the first 90 minutes of it.
They also like, from a continuity standpoint, the opening scene takes place with the tussle on the offshore rig where Bruce Willis fires a shotgun at Ben Affleck. Then a helicopter picks up Bruce Willis. He has one conversation in Washington, D.C. So ostensibly, this is maybe at most a 10-hour flight out there. He has one conversation. He says, there's a guy I have to pick up. Immediately flies. And now the same Ben Affleck is working in the desert on his own operation in the intervening 24 hours since he was caught sleeping with Bruce Willis's daughter. He's left the rig. He's moved out to the desert. He's started his own operation.
Here's my question. Do you care? Like, I don't care.
Oh, hold on. Let me see if I can merge everybody here. We'll see if we get lucky. I have
We're gonna go for some magic. We're gonna try a thing.
Yeah, we'll see. It says on hold.
I see Justin now.
I do not see anyone. Justins. It just says on hold.
Yeah, now I can see Meryl, but not you.
Interesting. So let me try hanging up on both of you and see if I can get everybody on. And then, so here, I'm going to click on.
So no, I'm still on a call with Meryl.
Oh, so that's funny. Well, here, maybe you can link me in or something.
No.
Oh, there it is. Almost.
Well, no,
okay, we have Frozen Face, Meryl Barr, and me and Justin are on a call. So I'm going to add Meryl Barr, MERIL. There we go. I'm going to add to the call. Yes, fingers crossed. Can we do this?
Something's happening. Something's happening.
It looks like I see circles spinning. And look at that. We did it.
You did it, buddy. You did it.
Justin, I'm getting two of you.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, we all got to mute our things.
There we go.
Welcome to Tech Support Hour.
Yes.
So we were talking about how movies get misinterpreted and remembered for things they are not. Like the movie Speed, Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock doesn't even appear for the first 30 minutes. It's the story of Keanu Reeves defusing a bomb, and also I forgot that there's a whole act on a train at the end of it that I don't remember at all.
Yeah,
and that's not bus related.
No.
Yeah, and then they
big bus got to him.
And then this all started because I watched Mad Max for the first time last night and discovered that Max's family is not killed until there is 20 minutes left in the movie, and then the whole revenge plot is not until the last 15 minutes of the movie.
Also it takes place in suburbia, and there's money and currency and beaches and vacations, and it's not the hellscape that most people associate with the Road Warrior and so on.
And Brian thought the sawing of the leg was the opening of the Road Warrior and not the end of Mad Max.
Well, I think about that because of context, because that is like in a dusty kind of salt flat kind of area, right?
Not even. It's in the greenery. It's all green. And like, yeah.
Now I'm going to have to go watch it again.
There's a new book out apparently that I heard about on a podcast I was listening to today that I absolutely have to listen to. Uh, it's all about the Sony hacks. Somebody went
Oh.
back through the Sony hacks and basically created a narrative, like now filling in all the pieces of like what is publicly available with what the private conversations were. And it's basically like the fall of Sony. Because like even
I got it. I
before
want to read that.
everybody got fired, part of the reason why they got fired wasn't just because it was a total disaster with all these bridges being burnt with private conversations becoming public. It's because the studio was in decline and they had bet big on Will Smith. They bet big on Adam Sandler. Both of them were in decline. And apparently there's an entire thing about the faith they had in After Earth. After Earth was for Sony.
That was the one with his son, right?
That was
with his son.
That was the M.
Yeah.
Night's
Right?
comeback.
That and
So-
there was rumored like Scientology overtones, I want to say.
And that's, I don't even know where we even start there, but we do know that Will Smith didn't want to be in the movie. He had to be talked into doing it. They figure out a way that, like, all right, technically you're in the movie, but you're really only going to be in it for like 10 minutes, but we're going to lie in all the marketing that this is like a Will Smith and Jaden Smith like co-production, which is not odd, right?
Yeah, no,
Movie posters
it
and
certainly has
trailers do
happened
that all the
before, but
time.
I still like that is a new piece of information. Like in everybody savaging it, nobody told me, hey, by the way, he's hardly even in the movie. So I don't know if that changed or what.
Beyond that, it was supposed to be like a 5-movie series with spin-offs. They were going to create a social network. They were going to create a cologne line. Like it was Sony going super big on a Will Smith or Jaden Smith. Jaden Smith was going to be the next Will Smith, and that was going to be like their Star Wars. They were going to have a whole thing.
You know what's even
There's-
worse is like 5 years later, I bet big on 2 Will Smith movies in the summer movie draft.
In the movie draft.
That was the end of Brian's reign. I came in dead last that year.
There's an amazing set photo from After Earth. It's M. Night and Will. What you assume is them looking out at the crew, right? And
Yeah.
it's M. Night's just kind of standing there like this. Well, Will is like this directing the set. And that was like this big viral moment where everyone knew, oh, this is going to be terrible. Because M. Night's just kind of standing there, just kind of taking direction from Will
From the
in
talent.
this photo. Yeah, it's really bizarre. But the thing about the Sony hack is one of the weirdest moments of that for me is that is the reason why Sony and Marvel now get along, kind of, is because of that hack.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Amy apparently part of the emails was communication, but it was either direct communication or references to communication between Amy and Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
And Kevin really wanted to get a deal done to get Spider-Man to the MCU. And she balked at him and was like, no. And apparently when that came out, all of the Japanese heads of Sony came raining down upon her and was like, call him back and get this done. Like,
Yeah.
we need this. And that's the reason Spider-Man is in the MCU now.
So I was trying to remember what the Scientology connection is. Do any of you guys remember that at all?
Well, at that point, there were rumors that Will Smith and Jada Smith were becoming closer with Scientology people. So like this was part of it. The other thing is that I guess there's like Scientology iconography of like volcanoes, like on like the land that they crash into. It looks more like a like pre-Xenu like Earth or whatever. So like I think that it was more iconographic as I remember it.
Yeah, the Vulture article from 2013 says After Earth is Will Smith's love letter to Scientology, and it says After Earth is essentially a map of Scientological development. It's man versus nature story because Scientology suggests that all life is just that, and goes on to draw a bunch of parallels. Interesting.
But yeah, I didn't know that a book like that was out, and I am now excited to read it just because reconstructing the past through publicly available sources has been
Do you happen to remember the name of the book?
The Big Picture, I believe.
Okay. The Big Picture book. I'm going to see if there's an audiobook on there. Nope. On Origins of Life. Sony. Let's add a hack. Yeah. There you go. You had that Sony hack. The Fight for the Future of Movies. Let's see.
Yeah, Bill Fritz. This is it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right.
I'm going to get that.
Audible. What was the big story on everybody had your back in the chat saying that you've talked about it, but how did I not know that President Trump plays Macho Man at all of his rallies? It took Meryl Barr to tell me this.
I don't know, brother, man. That's like one of my favorite things to talk about.
It's amazing.
You need to listen better. No, he's got a strange playlist, dude. Like it's some of the like icon the staples of political rallies, so just things with USA in it. But he's got two Village People songs. He's got Macho Man and YMCA in his playlist, and they fucking YMCA, love it, dude. I don't know.
YMCA is to me a little less, not egregious, but funny, because YMCA is kind of everybody's go-to, the go-to dance song. I mean,
it's in that wedding mix, right? Right next to Ice Ice Baby and
and but Macho Man Thriller. Is just you've lost the plot. With Macho Man and Born in the
He's
USA,
done it since 2015, though. I mean, like, this is not a new thing. He's been doing it for 5 years, and for whatever reason, I guess it went viral because it was playing really loud while Anderson Cooper was doing
serious commentary.
Well, no, they're doing the CNN segment that now has happened for every Trump thing, is like a person at Trump rally explaining why this Trump rally was the worst thing that's ever happened, right? And so normally the role of the anchor is to sit there stern-faced and be like, wow. That's all I can say is wow, right? And instead it's very loud. For whatever reason, their mix is just like very, very loud. If there's like, hey, macho man, like, and Anderson Cooper is just like trying not to laugh, and at the end he's just like wow, enjoy Macho Man, and he just kind of like goes off into the distance.
I guess also on Politics Tonight is they're counter programming these town halls, I guess.
Got Trump and Biden at the same damn time, and finally these networks are like, this is fucking great. We're gonna get like debate level ratings, and we can sell ads on these sons of bitches. All right. Did
you see the
NBC's
tweet that
got Trump and ABC's got Biden?
And
I'm going to be on Russian propaganda. I'm going to be on RT tonight.
Oh, that's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
Did you see the tweet that Trump wrote in the last hour? Oh no, you would be on DTNS, but he wrote a tweet where he literally calls it, I'm going to be on fake NBC News tonight.
Oh, yeah.
This after like every single person who's ever had a business dealing with NBC on the entertainment side wrote a letter to them saying, could you not do this? Or at the very least, could you maybe move it to a different night and not put it up against Biden? To which the director of NBC News says, look, We are not. We are just as angry as you. This is almost exact wording.
We're angry because we don't know where we're going to put all this money. We're angry. So, it's taking up so much living room space.
Let me. You're gonna love this. He goes, we are just as frustrated as you. We're not doing this out of business. We're doing this out of fairness. Exact wording on that quote.
So,
yeah, no, they're doing that because the people upstairs were like, well, shit. Fox isn't going to put them on because the football wound up getting moved, but they up until like Sunday had football in that slot. So, and they might even have baseball too. So they're like, all right, shit, Fox isn't going to do it. CBS isn't really in this game. NBC is. And so I'll bet you the higher ups from Comcast were like, look, we could make a pile of money or we could not make a pile of money. So let me give a call on down to the news department and say, you reach out and you tell the Trump campaign that we're going to have a pile of the president on our air. And that's what it is, and it has to be counter programmed, or else it's not going to be the big, sexy, splashy thing,
right?
And it's hilarious that Trump is ripping them because he's just making them eat dog shit for their pile of money they're going to make. Like
I got to be honest, the shocking thing to me, because you know when I wrote the tweet about the story, Justin, you hit me back going like, you expected this to happen, right? Like I did. Not at NBC. I thought it was going to be CBS, or I thought it'd be Fox or CBS. Like that's what I really did.
I mean, NBC sort of makes sense in that they're the ones who made him a star to begin with. It's a bit of him coming home to roost. You mentioned baseball and football. I don't usually engage with sports, but I was listening to basically a plea to watch some sports ball on the Reason Roundtable. I believe it was the guest that week was talking up the fact that the Rays are doing so well and that they are the 30th most funded team, and they're defeating the first and going up against, I think they're now like up against the third or fourth most funded team. So it's like seems to be a true underdog story, and it's a bit of a bummer it's happening with ghosts watching and nobody else.
Yeah. Well, the Rays and the A's, which is odd because they have similar sounding names, have been the
great value brand
basically. That they're like
the Kirklands.
If baseball weren't as rigid as it is, where like it's 162 games, so you have to have a really good team to make the playoffs at all in a regular year, and then pitching matters so much in the postseason that like rarely do you accidentally stumble, no matter how hard you try, on like 4 great pitchers where you can fairly easily buy 4 great pitchers. That like everybody wants the A's and the Rays to do well because they maximize their cash. They try to revolutionize the way the game is played and how to exploit market inefficiencies. And then they wind up running into a team with like 4 amazing pitchers, and they just get shut out because them's the breaks, and they lose in the playoffs. But yeah, no, I mean the Rays beat the Yankees, which is obviously
huge. Yeah, I mean they blew up the Death Star thing, shoved it right in the exhaust port.
Exactly. And then we'll see. We'll I mean, I don't know. Baseball's kind of fucking boring. Although I really do like playoff baseball is awesome. Playoff baseball is always
playoff
really
baseball.
like
I've had amazing memories watching playoff baseball. Because that's when the games that's when the games become art. And like you get those games where it's like it's constantly trading spars for a tied game through like inning 11, then one team manages to get up, and then you think it's over, and then boom, the next, and it's like tantric sex, and it's just like that's when it actually does get really good. I will agree with that. Did Twitter crash for everyone else? Because I think all of Twitter has gone down.
It was everybody reporting those banned links.
Yeah. By the way, Fox is carrying the Dodgers versus the Braves tonight. So that is why they were not in this Trump game from the jump.
Twitter looks like it's working for me on the web interface.
Oh, really? Because TweetDeck's completely, the app is not working for me, and TweetDeck is not working for me.
Hmm.
It's all down, which is interesting.
Maybe you should focus on being live on the internet.
Yeah, on the
You
show
are
that we're
correct.
doing right now.
You are correct. All right, question. Brian, I know Jess does this. Brian, I don't know if you know about it because I wanted to hear you guys talk about this. Do you know that there's a second Nixium doc coming?
You know, there was somebody in the chat who was shouting it every 5 minutes and asking if we wanted to chime in on our opinion about it. I still have to sit through the remaining 12 hours of the first doc.
All right, hey, you want to get annoyed, Brian?
Yep.
How about this one? The loony mom?
The Pinot Grigio?
Yeah, who wants to Pinot Grigio her daughter to freedom?
Yep.
We have at least through 8 episodes of this interminable slog that has now made me openly root for the cult leader to get away with everything. We have not seen an interview from the daughter, but I know how it ends now because guess who the star interviewee of the Showtime doc is? The daughter.
Oh, no shit.
There is.
So she's the star of the other one, and we don't get her story in this one because these creatures that have come out of this insane factory of awful didn't give a full story because they were selling their stories to competing documentarians.
So do you think it's a case where one will be the good one or just both will be the incomplete one? And you have to, in your mind, like assemble the sandwich in your mouth and chew it all up. You're like, that's kind of like a sandwich.
Here's what I want to know is whether or not Viacom is more in their lawyer bag than AT&T is in terms of actually telling some of the stories that are out there with other reporting, because like they spent this last stupid episodes of this stupid fucking Vow series being like, what a monster, this Keith Raniere, what a monster. He was programming us. He showed us the Stanford prison experiment. And then we found ourselves in something that was very much like on gender lines, the Stanford prison experiment. And I'm like, for real, that's where we're at. That's where we're at. That's the worst thing that. So I go on the Wikipedia for Keith Raniere. Multiple girlfriends have mysteriously disappeared.
Whoa.
Like a kid, he was raising a kid and the mom fucking left. He organized with the Mexican family, the Mexican heirs that he has in Nixium, organized a bunch of journalists to go down to a retreat in Mexico where they would have been arrested, and the journalists figured it out and didn't go. He's on tape saying that he's killed people before. The Dalai Lama, that whole thing.
Yep.
One of the fucking Seagram's heir sisters fucked a monk to get that deal, and the monk wound up resigning after that came to light. And AT&T's lawyers apparently are like, nah, I don't know, we can't clear. I presume that stuff was taken out of the series. By the way, if you have all that shit in the documentary, now we're more, I can understand 9 episodes.
Are they still acting like what the bleep guy is the secret hero of everything? Or are they still lauding him? Because yes, I was waiting for the part where his life is ruined, and instead he just seems like Mr. Smith going to Washington and speaking truth to power. And I'm like,
no, now they're all very excited because they're all going to the FBI and they're all turning over evidence. And that was literally the last episode was them talking about all the evidence they have against Keith Raniere, which apparently doesn't even include the shit that is like been reported on by.
See, they gotta take a lesson from that Tiger King. It's like give us the dirt, give us the nasty.
What is
well, yeah, and I presume they haven't done that because they don't want to get sued by the Bronfman money. Like they know that no matter what, unless the Bronfman sisters are going down,
those are the Seagram's heirs, right?
The Seagram sisters, like that, they're just gonna spend all the money they have to sue anybody that says anything about them, and so they're only doing things that I presume they have firsthand accounts of. And that's why the only thing they're talking about are the reasonably boring shit that either all of our primary sources have seen or Keith Raniere is on tape in their expansive library of creepy ass tapes.
Man,
What is with the trend this year? Well, not this year, but the last 12 months of the competing documentary, the Fire Festival thing, the Amazing Jonathan thing, and now this.
I think it's a side effect of, so keep in mind that having the number of options that you have is only 10 years old. So 10 years ago, Netflix was not a serious player. They were just finally getting started on really focusing on streaming. I don't think they even did in 2010. Did they already have their first originals? I think they just had like
2010 was when they launched. House of
So let's say we're basically only 12 years into you've got options. Before that, it was like HBO maybe, and then broadcast, and then movies that nobody would ever see. So it was pretty easy to get everybody in one bucket. But nowadays, just everybody knows, oh, wait, this is a global news story and I'm a part of it and I own my story rights. So now you've got everybody, let me get an agent, and an agent knows that the last thing he should do is say, you know what you should do is get all of us and put us in one bucket and pay each of us a very little amount. No points. And so instead, everybody's running with their options. And so we get a bunch of, competing documentaries, like on the Amazing Jonathan one, 3 at once.
There were 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a plot point in the second one, was that the dude found somebody who was making a third one.
Right.
Mad Chad Taylor, who I've worked with, is a contemporary of mine in the college market.
Yes,
Well, yeah, I
do
think
remember that,
the AJ stuff was, I think, largely because Jonathan has been dying for many, many years, but also it's like, hey, look, if there's people that are interested in doing a documentary, he's going to say yes, because fuck it.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him for that. As for the other ones, docs are hot. People like watching docs, and people like making docs now because they're mostly editing and interviews. So you can do them fairly cheap, and you can now sell fucking like fiction television show orders for them. It's not like, the old version of a documentary was like, all right, work for 3 years on a doc. It's going to be an hour and 45 minutes or 2 hours and 10 minutes. And we're going to release it, and hopefully we're going to win an Oscar. And that's that, right? Now these things are done in 8 months, and they're 8 episodes. So you get an 8-episode order, and boom, now it's fucking for real money. And there's a bidding war.
What I like is the trend we're seeing now is a move away from only true crime, creepy human being stuff. And, the Challenger, we had the Challenger doc, we had High Score, we're getting more of these.
High Score is a weird one, because if you describe to me what High Score is, I would tell you that I would hate it. But instead, it plays kind of on 2 levels, because really all it is nothing but 5-minute segments of remember this. And then they play it. So it's like they explain how internet used to work with a modem and phone lines and stuff. And it's like, I should hate this because I know all this, but instead they just overproduce it. So to me, it's just a tour, a tourism, a tour of my childhood. But to my kid, it's actually they're learning something. Yeah.
What's funny is, what if I told you that there was also a competing documentary to High Score that came out this year?
Is it good?
Yeah, it's on CBS All Access.
It's Console Wars, right?
Console Wars. Yeah, it's about the war between Nintendo and Sega.
And that's an adaptation of a book, which is another fascinating trend, is that you can now adapt the book and the brand of the book into another
competing medium. Documentary, which we're seeing with the Tiger King story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ironically, none of the Tiger King fictionalized things are using the Netflix documentary.
Well, yeah, because that would cost money. Whereas paying royalties based on an article in Texas Monthly or whatever is cheap.
Yep.
What I'm wondering is, I wonder if Netflix is considering a fictionalized version, or they're like, nope, we won with our documentary. We don't got to play in that water for this one. Or if not, like, are they keeping?
I would be shocked if they tap that again. I think that they go on with their speculative plays for the next king of something.
Yeah. Wouldn't shock me. they got the right pitch and the right people were
Did
attached and
did
shit
did
like
they
that.
arrest the other dude for something?
Yep.
Doc Antle, the Bhagavan.
Yeah.
That's the polygamist, right?
Yeah.
Well, they're all polygamists.
Well, yeah, yeah, they all are.
Yeah.
What did he get arrested for?
I think animal trafficking.
Oh, really? Just straight up like, hey, that thing that you bragged about on that documentary, we'd like to talk to you about
out
whether or
we're
not you're
gonna-
allowed to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's fascinating. And I wonder if our current landscape is gonna I would presume that the money's only gonna get bigger now that this is like the entirety of entertainment. Like
Yeah.
streaming
Mhm.
is, when Disney is like, hey, we're reorganizing our company.
Dude, could you believe Pixar straight to Disney Plus? Like that's
Well, look, I mean, did you see the reorg? They reorged their entire fucking company to basically say we are a
they have a whole
streaming-first
division
company
now.
now.
Yeah.
Like, and so that means that I'm sure they'll spin up fucking theater releases and everything, but like they're gonna come at it from a totally different negotiating perspective by the time that that's a real issue for them. I would not be shocked if we get Black Widow on
Just straight to Disney Plus.
Plus.
I mean, Disney Plus was the right service in the right year where everybody's stuck at home, and the one thing you want is for your kids to be occupied. You're going to get on that Disney Plus hype train.
By
In the
the way-
chat, they're asking if it was Premier Access. No, it's just straight up Disney Plus. Just everyone gets a free AAA, destined to be a $200 million mega domestic blockbuster. Just have it. Just have it. In fact, you already have it. It's on your TV right now.
As I understood it from our Court Killers talk on it on Monday, the way it breaks out is it's more about Disney is separating the content people and the distribution people. And so now they're just telling the content people, make content, just make it. Then distribution people, hey, distribution people, figure out where this content should go. But it's no longer you'll go in knowing this is going to
Yeah.
be a movie. This is going to be on Disney Plus.
Which
Blah, blah, blah.
you only make that move if you're putting shit on Disney Plus more and more, and you're not
Yes.
promising people that they're going to get the movie treatment, right? So the question then becomes, all right, if we can make the money work to these producers, if we can make the money work to these stars, we can certainly make the fame work to the stars. If they're the biggest fucking thing on the planet, then it's gonna be a buoy to their career. It's not like Millie Bobby Brown was ever in a movie that anybody gave a shit about, right?
Right,
She
but
has
she's
made her
as
entire
legit
career-
a star as I could think of now.
Exactly,
I guess she
right?
was in what, Godzilla?
She was in
But yeah,
Godzilla
and that was-
after.
Yeah, exactly. But even then, it's like, yeah, that was Godzilla trying to cash in on Millie Bobby Brown,
Right, not the other way
opposite.
around. Yeah.
Yeah, the other way around. So yeah, it's interesting. It means that these theaters are fucked.
Yeah,
These theaters
yeah.
are fucked because that means when they come back, Disney's not coming. They're like, cool. Day and date. Would you like day and date? If you're not,
It's either they
Godspeed,
agree
via
to date.
con Dios.
It's either they agree to day and date or those Paramount decrees that got struck down. The fallout that everyone thinks is coming will come, which is Disney's just gonna buy up one of the one of the smaller chains and go, Disney theaters is now a thing, and we will be showing only Disney content in the Disney theater, and so on and so forth. Like that
But
will
even
be
then,
where this ends up.
what theater chain, as you're hearing AMC is nearing bankruptcy, Regal just shut their shit down again. Like, what theater chain even has the financial wherewithal to say no to an Avengers movie, to say
Yeah.
no to Black Widow, to say no to any Disney property right now, even if it was day and date? Like, if they have a chance to get people into theaters to see this shit, they're gonna fucking take it. They don't have any
Mhm.
leverage anymore.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. The most interesting thing about the Soul move to me was they didn't go the Mulan route, like you were saying. They are gonna dump it straight, and then like I wonder if Mulan like scared them off that idea
I think
because the
that
return wasn't good.
they recognize that this is an extraordinary year, and they are in an extraordinary position to leapfrog straight to number 2. They're going to jump right over Amazon Prime. They're going to jump right over Hulu. They're going to be cozied up right next to Netflix, but only if they hustle and they have just an astonishing value proposition, especially as you got your Peacocks or whatever trying to also be players in the market. Like, this is them doing the Steve Jobs equivalent of saying, everybody shut up, piracy's over, $1 a track. I have declared it. That's how it's going to be. This is their equivalent of that. Everybody shut up. There's Netflix and there's us, and then nobody else cares about anything else.
Also, holiday season. They want to be the thing. You're getting your new devices. You're getting your new televisions. It's like, well, what are the 2 biggest fucking things? There's a new Pixar movie. There's a fucking Mandalorian season like that you want to catch up on. Like, and then God knows they're going to pump out 50 million fucking Christmas things. Like,
you know what's so weird is the math goes a little bit sideways, because what is it? $5 a month, right? $7 $7 a month. The Mandalorian alone was so good that even if I haven't watched a damn other thing all year long, I just go, 10, 12 times 7, about $100. Yeah, no, Mandalorian was worth $100, and I assume the kids have watched it a little bit, but now I'm going to watch Mandalorian season 2, and I'll feel fine about paying all year for it.
I mean, the smartest thing I think they did was last year over the summer, they announced this deal, was like, all right, everyone, whoever wants it can sign up right now, get 3 years for $150. And I was like, I was as broke then as I am now. I took that deal because I was like, I know that this is me investing in my future entertainment. And it's like, I'll take 3 years of Disney Plus for $150 because I know that at the very least I'm gonna get Star Wars and Marvel shows out of that.
Well, and it ain't gonna get any cheaper. I can't imagine.
No, and it's like I actually got 4 years because I also got the Verizon deal off that. So I'm still working off the Verizon deal that I think expires next month. But yeah, they're also dropping that. They're dropping the Scarlet Witch show this year as well.
WandaVision show.
Yeah, the WandaVision show. So like I think you're right. And also the thing I'm just realizing, Justin, is the concept of stocking stuffers. It used to be, here's a Netflix subscription, little Timmy, and but now it's going to be, here's a gift card for a free Disney Plus subscription. Like,
by the way, what a fucking jabroni the guy who launched Disney Plus and then left for TikTok and then left TikTok before the TikTok shit settled. Like, and now he's just fucking unemployed. And he's like, oh, I launched, everybody thought that like Netflix can't be caught. I launched the thing that fucking Netflix now has to fear, right? Then gets passed over for CEO. And so like corporate samurai law dictates that if you stay after being passed over for CEO, then you're like a cuck who will never be thought of with respect again. But if he had just stayed in place, he'd probably be more powerful than the CEO at this point.
Dude, hold on, real quick side jag. Quickie Koala in the chat points out, I did not know it was this exact upcoming year. He points out that the Paramount antitrust decree, which means that the studio can't also own the theaters, expires in 2022. So expect Disney theaters then. Yeah, dude, I totally believe that. Holy cow.
I mean, and that's even presuming we're in a world where people want theaters.
Well, like, they will want a premium experience, and they will want the social proof of what. I mean, there's a reason we go to premiere nights, and part of it is to be there in that moment with everyone else. So they can do that in a safe way with their Imagineer mojo.
Yes, and is that a multiplex? Or are we moving back?
No, it's probably not.
It's smaller.
No.
It's here's what I think. I think it's a kind of a Disney experience. You book an evening. You're gonna have a meal. You're gonna have some playtime. There's gonna be some a little bit sort of like the Club Disney's, I would imagine. But the premiere thing is, and then you're gonna see the new Disney movie. So you get like a 5-hour family experience out of the whole thing, including the big movie.
Mm-hmm. I think. Justin, I want to quote you because you came up with a really great term for that guy who was at Disney Plus. He microwaved the Netflix. That was yeah, you came up with that. I've been using that ever since. It's like that. Yeah, that's what it was. And no one thought you could microwave Netflix. Turns out, with enough money, you can microwave a Netflix. And it's just, yeah, I know. I do think we're gonna see, the launch of a Disney theater chain.
Yeah, I agree. Lock it in. We thought of it first. You're welcome, Disney. By the way, there's a new Defunctland episode all about Epcot. Came out 2 days ago. I'm halfway through it right now. He goes into all of the crazy, the gigantic. He wanted 100,000 people in the city of the future, and the garbage was going to get vacuumed into a central repository. And
oh my god,
it's as bonkers and as ambitious as your wildest Walt Disney fantasy, and it's fun to see all that pre-production stuff. But I guess that's it for you guys. Got anything that you're excited about or want to fit in before we wrap it up?
No, I'm going live on my channel in about an hour. So head on over
also
there.
Tonight, as we record, is the Marbles 500. I guess I think I might play Marbles for the first time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
It's apparently this is a race that's going to go an hour and a half or something. So
when I say play, I mean I'll show up to write the word ! Play and then check in an hour and a half and see how I did.
Let me see how I'm doing.
All right, we'll see you guys. Thank you very much, Barrel Bar, for joining us.
Happy hour. Night Attacks Happy Hour. Night Attacks Happy Hour.